My boyfriend looked me dead in the eye across a table of his laughing friends and said, "Let's be honest, you're not exactly a catch." Then he stood up, grabbed his jacket, and walked out of the restaurant, leaving me with a $340 bill and absolutely no idea what just happened. But here's the thing about Henry that he didn't know, that nobody knew. While he was busy telling everyone I was lucky to date him, I'd been quietly building something he couldn't even comprehend. And 3 weeks later, when his entire friend group saw my face on a billboard in downtown Portland with the caption, "Local designer featured in Vogue," watching him try to explain how he discovered me was honestly the best revenge I never even planned. You guys, I'm still processing this whole situation. Like, my brain keeps trying to rewrite it into something that makes sense. But nope, it happened exactly like I'm about to tell you. Grab something to drink because this story is wild. My name is Grace, and until 3 weeks ago, I was in a relationship with someone who made me feel like I should be grateful he even looked at me. I met Henry at a gallery opening 2 years ago. Not some fancy art thing, this was a local coffee shop that let artists hang their work on the walls. Very Portland, very hipster, very we serve oat milk and have opinions about it. I was there because my friend Simone's photography was being featured. Henry was there because he'd just moved to Portland for a tech job and was trying to meet people. He was charming, is that the word? He had this confidence that made you feel like you'd won something just by talking to him, like he was doing you a favor by laughing at your jokes. Red flag number one, but past Grace apparently was colorblind. We started dating pretty quickly. At first, it was good. He took me to nice restaurants, always splitting the bill exactly down the middle even when I ordered a salad and he got steak and 3 cocktails, but whatever. He introduced me to his friends from work, this whole crew of tech bros who talked about disrupting industries and maximizing efficiency like they were curing diseases instead of, I don't know, making apps that nobody asked for. I'm a textile designer. I create fabric patterns for clothing companies, home goods, whatever. It's freelance, which means some months I'm doing great, and other months I'm eating ramen and wondering if my landlord accepts payment in pretty floral prints. Henry's friends thought this was adorable. Like I was a little art project, a quirky hobby girlfriend. His boy Chad, yes, actually named Chad, the simulation is broken, once asked me if I made quilts or something, and when I tried explaining textile design, he literally patted my head and said, "That's cute." I should have left then. Add it to the list. Henry worked at this startup that was supposedly going to revolutionize something. I never fully understood what they did, honestly. Every time he explained it, my brain just heard buzzing sounds. Something about AI and blockchain and synergy, which I'm pretty sure is just corporate Mad Libs. But he made good money, like really good money, and he never let me forget it. Little comments, must be nice to work whenever you feel like it. Or, I wish I had a job where I could just be creative all day instead of dealing with real pressure. Because apparently, designing 30 fabric patterns in 2 weeks for a client who changes their mind every 5 minutes isn't real pressure. Cool. About 6 months into dating, Henry started doing this thing where he'd help me with my appearance. Have you thought about growing your hair longer? I feel like guys prefer that. That dress is nice, but it's a little much for your body type. You should smile more in photos. You look kind of harsh. Each comment was wrapped in this, "I'm just trying to help you be your best self" package, like he was a life coach instead of my boyfriend who once wore Crocs to a funeral. My best friend Simone, the photographer from the gallery, hated him. She never said it directly, but whenever I'd mention Henry, she'd get this look on her face like she'd just smelled expired milk. "He just seems really focused on himself," she'd say carefully, because Simone is a good friend who tries not to say, "I told you so," until absolutely necessary. I'd defend him. He's just ambitious. He wants both of us to succeed. Looking back, the mental gymnastics I was doing qualified for the Olympics. The comments got worse over time, more frequent, more cutting, always with that same helpful smile. Your portfolio is good, but have you considered doing something more commercial, more mainstream? Translation, your art isn't good enough. I mentioned you to my boss and he asked what you do. I didn't really know how to explain it in a way that sounded professional. Translation, I'm embarrassed by your job. We should probably skip my company holiday party. It's going to be really corporate and I don't want you to feel uncomfortable. Translation, I don't want my coworkers to meet you. That last one should have been the final straw. Instead, I just felt relieved. Like, thank God I don't have to pretend to care about quarterly earnings or whatever. The thing is, while Henry was busy making me feel small, I was actually doing pretty well professionally. I'd landed a contract with a mid-sized home goods company. Nothing huge, but steady work, good pay, creative freedom. I'd started getting inquiries from bigger clients. My Instagram, where I posted my designs, had grown to about 15,000 followers, which in the textile design world is actually decent. But I never really talked about it with Henry, partly because he'd always find a way to diminish it, partly because I'd learned that talking about my successes made him weird and quiet. So I just stopped sharing that part of my life with him. Which is why he had absolutely no idea that 3 weeks before everything exploded, I'd been contacted by a features editor at Vogue. Let me back up to explain the Vogue thing because it's important for later. In January, I got a DM on Instagram from someone claiming to be from Vogue. My immediate thought was scam, obviously, because why would Vogue be sliding into my DMs like a fuckboy at 2 a.m.? But I clicked on the profile and it was verified, like actual Vogue. They were doing a feature on emerging designers under 30 who were reshaping American textile design, or something fancy like that. Someone on their team had found my work, loved it, and wanted to include me in a 6-page spread. I literally screamed. My neighbor banged on the wall. I didn't care. The editor, Lauren, was amazing. We had a call and she explained they'd be photographing me in my studio, aka my spare room where I have fabric samples everywhere and a dress form I've named Barbara, and featuring some of my designs. The shoot was scheduled for March. They'd run the story in the May issue, which would hit stands in April. I wanted to tell Henry. I almost did, like 50 times. But every time I got close, I'd remember some comment he'd made about my work being cute or a nice hobby, and I'd just keep it to myself. Simone knew. She literally cried when I told her, "Grace, this is insane. This is career-changing. You have to tell Henry." "I will," I said. "I just want it to be official until the photos are done and I know it's really happening." Honestly, I think I was scared he'd find a way to make it about himself, or worse, make me feel like it wasn't that big of a deal. The photo shoot happened in early March. It was surreal. They brought a whole crew to my tiny apartment, rearranged everything, had me pose with my designs like I was a real artist instead of someone who regularly eats cereal for dinner. Lauren told me the spread looked incredible. It would run in the May issue, and they'd do some digital promotion, social media posts, maybe a billboard in select cities. A billboard with my face on it, in Portland, where we lived. I was terrified and excited, and definitely not ready to tell Henry yet because the timing never felt right, you know. Which brings us to 3 weeks ago. Henry texted me on a Wednesday afternoon. "Dinner Friday with some work friends. Thought you could finally meet the crew properly. Dress nice." Dress nice from Henry meant don't embarrass me, but I tried not to read into it. I actually got excited. Maybe this was him finally taking our relationship seriously, finally wanting to integrate our lives. God, I was so naive. I spent way too long picking an outfit. Nothing too bold, didn't want to look like I was trying too hard. Nothing too casual, didn't want to look like I didn't care. I landed on this simple black dress that Henry had once said looked appropriate. That should have told me everything, honestly. I was dressing for his approval, not for myself. The restaurant was this trendy place downtown. Expensive, but trying to look casual, you know the vibe. Exposed brick, Edison bulbs, a menu that called French fries pommes frites so they could charge $14. I got there exactly on time because Henry hated when people were late. He was already at a table with 3 guys I vaguely recognized from his company Instagram, Chad, Devin, and Kyle. Very diverse names for a very non-diverse friend group. Henry barely looked up when I arrived. You made it. Sit.
Not hi, not you look nice, just sit. I sat. The guys were mid-conversation about some coding thing and just kept talking. I smiled, tried to follow along, but it was all jargon and inside jokes. Finally, Devin acknowledged me. So you're the girlfriend. Henry talks about you. All good things, I hope, which is what you're supposed to say in these situations, right? Henry snorted, literally snorted. I'd try to be honest. The table laughed. I didn't get the joke. We ordered. I got the cheapest pasta on the menu because I could already tell this was going to be an expensive dinner, and Henry's we split everything policy was probably in effect. The guys got steaks, appetizers, cocktails. The bill was going to be astronomical. Throughout dinner, Henry kept making these little comments. When I mentioned my work, he said, "Grace does crafts, it's cute." When I tried to join a conversation about a new restaurant, he said, "She doesn't really go out much, she's more of a homebody." When the waiter asked if I wanted another drink, Henry answered for me. "She's good, she doesn't really drink." I drink plenty, he just didn't want to split a higher bill. Every comment felt like a poker cut, small, sharp, adding up. Then Chad asked how we met, and I started to tell the story about the gallery opening, but Henry interrupted. I was doing charity work, basically, he said. Her friend was showing at this coffee shop, not even a real gallery, and I felt bad for them, so I went. Grace was there, looking lost, and I took pity. The guys laughed. I didn't. That's not what happened. Not even close. We'd talked for 3 hours that night. He'd asked for my number. He'd pursued me. But sitting there, watching him rewrite our history to make himself look generous, I realized he'd been doing this the whole time, rewriting me into someone smaller, someone less, someone who should be grateful he even noticed them. I excused myself to the bathroom before I could cry in front of them. In the stall, I texted Simone, "I think I need to break up with Henry." Her response was immediate. "Finally, want me to come get you?" I told her I'd finish dinner and we'd talk after. I splashed some water on my face, fixed my makeup, and gave myself a pep talk in the mirror. "You're a Vogue-featured textile designer," I told my reflection. "You don't need this man's approval." When I got back to the table, they were laughing about something. The conversation stopped when I sat down. Great. Dinner continued. More jabs from Henry, more uncomfortable laughter from his friends, more me shrinking into my chair. Then the bill came. The waiter set it in the middle of the table, $340. Henry picked it up, looked at it, then slid it in front of me. "Actually," he said, "I've been thinking." My stomach dropped. This isn't really working for me anymore, the relationship thing. I stared at him. Surely he wasn't... You're nice and everything, but let's be honest. You're not exactly a catch. I think I've been settling. The table went silent. I'm successful, ambitious, going places, and you're making patterns. It's not really the same level, you know? I couldn't breathe. He stood up, grabbed his jacket. "A girl like you should be grateful I even dated you this long, but I think I'm ready for someone more on my level." He looked at his friends. "You guys coming?" They exchanged glances. Devin looked uncomfortable. Kyle was staring at his plate. Chad shrugged and stood up. And just like that, all 4 of them left. Left me sitting there, with a $340 bill for food I'd barely eaten, in a restaurant full of people who definitely heard everything. The waiter came over with this look of pity that made everything worse. He said quietly, "I'm so sorry. Do you need a minute?" I wanted to disappear. I wanted the floor to open up and swallow me whole. Instead, I pulled out my credit card, the one I'd been trying to pay down, and handed it to him. "Just charge it," I whispered. While I waited for the check, I texted Simone, "Can you come get me? I can't drive right now." She called immediately. I sent her to voicemail because I was crying too hard to talk. By the time I signed the receipt, my hands were shaking so badly I could barely write.
I walked out of that restaurant and stood on the sidewalk in the cold Portland rain, waiting for Simone, trying to understand what had just happened. My phone buzzed, a notification that Henry had posted on Instagram. I opened it even though I knew I shouldn't. It was a photo of him and the guys outside the restaurant. The caption, "Boys' Night. Sometimes you gotta cut loose the dead weight. #level up, #know your worth." I stared at that post until Simone's car pulled up. She took one look at my face and said, "I'm going to kill him." "Get in line," I said. That night is honestly a blur. Simone drove me back to my apartment, stopping to get ice cream, wine, and, because she's genuinely the best, toilet paper because I was out and she knew I'd need it for the ugly crying. She was right. I spent the next 3 hours on my couch, alternating between sobbing and rage scrolling through Henry's Instagram, torturing myself with every photo of us where I looked happy. How did I not see it? I kept asking Simone. How did I let him treat me like that for 2 years? Because he was good at making you doubt yourself. That's what guys like him do. They find someone talented and kind, and they slowly convince them they're lucky to be tolerated. Around midnight, after Simone had left and I was alone with my thoughts and an empty pint of Ben & Jerry's, I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. "Hey, this is Devin from dinner. I got your number from Henry's phone when he wasn't looking. I just wanted to say what he did was fucked up, and I'm sorry, for what it's worth. He's been talking about wanting to break up with you for weeks, but didn't know how. He thought doing it publicly would make him look decisive. He's an asshole. You deserve better." I read that message 5 times. He'd been planning this? The public humiliation wasn't spontaneous cruelty, it was calculated. He'd invited me to dinner specifically to dump me in front of his friends, to make himself look powerful, to make me look pathetic. I was so angry I couldn't even cry anymore. That's when Simone called me back. "Okay, I wasn't going to tell you this yet because the timing was supposed to be a surprise, but I think you need to hear it now." "Hear what?" I asked. "The Vogue thing. The May issue comes out next week, and Lauren called me today. She's friends with my old photography professor, and she mentioned that they're doing billboard promotions in 5 cities. "Yeah, I know, she told me. "Grace, one of the cities is Portland, and the billboard goes up downtown on Friday." My brain took a second to process this. This Friday? As in 3 days from now? Yes, with your face on it, and your name, and the headline, "Portland's Rising Textile Design Star." I sat up on my couch so fast I knocked over my wine glass. "Henry doesn't know about the Vogue feature," I said slowly. "Nope. And he definitely doesn't know about a billboard. Definitely not." We were both quiet for a moment. Then Simone said, "His office is downtown, right? On Morrison Street?" 2 blocks from Pioneer Square, I confirmed, my brain suddenly very awake. "Where they put the big billboards." "Where they put the really big billboards." Simone laughed. "Oh my God, Grace, he's going to see it." "He's going to see it," I repeated, and for the first time in hours, I smiled. "Okay, so I know I left you guys hanging, and honestly, I needed a few days to process before I could even talk about what happened next. First, thank you for all the supportive messages. I literally cried reading some of them, in a good way this time. A lot of you asked what happened with the billboard and Henry's reaction, so here we go.
The weekend after the restaurant disaster was rough, like really rough. I barely left my apartment. I kept replaying the whole night in my head, analyzing every moment, wondering what I could have done differently. Simone came over on Sunday with Thai food and made me promise to stop stalking Henry's social media. "He doesn't deserve your energy," she said. "Save it for Friday." Friday. The billboard. I was nervous and excited and also kind of terrified. Like, what if Henry didn't even notice it? What if this whole thing fizzled and I was just left with my humiliation and a maxed out credit card? But Simone was convinced the universe was about to deliver some poetic justice. Monday came and I forced myself to work. I had deadlines and clients who didn't care about my dramatic breakup, pushing through the heartbreak by creating floral patterns for throw pillows. Very therapeutic. Highly recommend. Tuesday, Lauren from Vogue called to give me a heads up that the digital version of the article would go live on Thursday, and the billboard would be installed Thursday night for a Friday morning reveal. "Are you excited?" she asked. "Terrified," I admitted, "but also, yes?" She laughed. "You're going to be amazing. This feature is getting a lot of internal buzz. People love your story." Wednesday, I got another text from Devin. "Just wanted to check in. Henry has been insufferable at work. He keeps talking about his upgrade and showing everyone pictures of some girl he matched with on a dating app. Thought you should know he's a douchebag." I appreciated Devin's updates, honestly. It was validating to know I wasn't crazy, that other people saw how toxic Henry was. I texted back, "Thanks for the intel. I'm doing okay. Better every day." His response, "Good. You seem too cool for him anyway. If you ever want to grab coffee and trash talk our mutually terrible friend, let me know." I laughed. Maybe Devin wasn't so bad. Thursday morning, the article went live on Vogue's website. My phone exploded. Messages from old classmates, former clients, random people from Instagram, my mom who'd apparently set a Google alert for my name. The article was beautiful. 6 full pages with photos of me in my studio, close-ups of my fabric designs, and an interview where I talked about my process and inspiration. The headline, "Grace Mills, the Portland designer turning textiles into art." I cried reading it. Happy tears this time. Simone reposted it everywhere with the caption, "This is my best friend and she's a literal genius. Everyone shut up." I loved her so much. Thursday afternoon, I got a DM on Instagram from someone I didn't know. "Hey, I work at Henry's company. Just saw your Vogue article. He has no idea. This is going to be hilarious." I shouldn't have engaged, but I couldn't help it. I responded, "The billboard goes up tonight." The response was immediate. "Oh my God, I'm telling everyone in the office to take Morrison Street tomorrow morning." I probably should have felt bad about that. I didn't. Thursday night, I couldn't sleep. I kept imagining Henry's face when he saw my face on a literal billboard. Part of me wanted to be there to see it. Part of me never wanted to see him again. Around 11 p.m., Simone texted, "The billboard is up. I drove by. Grace, it's huge, and you look incredible." She sent me a photo. There I was, 20 feet tall, holding one of my fabric designs with "Portland's rising textile design star" featured in Vogue in huge letters at the bottom. I stared at that photo for like 20 minutes. That was me. The girl Henry said wasn't on his level. The girl he'd publicly humiliated. On a billboard in the city where he lived and worked. I went to bed with a smile on my face for the first time in a week. Friday morning, I woke up to chaos. My Instagram had blown up overnight. The Vogue article was being shared everywhere. I'd gained like 5,000 new followers. I had interview requests from 3 local news stations, a podcast, and some design blogs. And I had 47 text messages. Most were congratulations from friends and family. But buried in there was one from a number I didn't recognize. "This is Chad from dinner last week. Holy shit, Henry just saw your billboard. He's losing his mind. Called an emergency meeting with Devin and Kyle. This is insane. Congratulations, by the way. The article is sick." I read that message 3 times. Then I screenshotted it and sent it to Simone with, "It's happening." Her response, "I'm coming over. We're documenting this." She arrived 20 minutes later with coffee and pastries, and we camped out on my couch like we were watching the Super Bowl. More messages started coming in. From Devin, "Henry is spiraling. He keeps saying there's no way you got into Vogue on your own. He thinks you must have paid for it or slept with someone. He's making himself look insane." From that random coworker, he just called Vogue's main office asking to speak to someone about fact-checking their article. The receptionist hung up on him. From Chad, he's trying to say he discovered you and helped with your career. We're all just staring at him like, "Dude, you literally called her cute crafts last week." Simone and I were cackling. Around 10 a.m., my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "Hello?" "Grace, it's Henry." My stomach dropped. Simone grabbed my arm. "I saw the billboard," he said. His voice was weird, tight. "Why didn't you tell me about Vogue?" "You never asked," I said simply. This is huge. This could change your whole career." "I'm aware." Silence. "Look, I think maybe we were hasty about breaking up. I've been thinking, and—" I laughed. I couldn't help it. "You've been thinking? We were good together, and now with your career taking off, I think we could really be a power couple. I could help you navigate the business side, make connections." "Henry, he always believed in your talent. I was just trying to push you to be better. And look, it worked. The Vogue thing proves—" "Henry, stop." He stopped. "You dumped me in front of your friends 6 days ago. You called me a charity case. You left me with a $340 bill. You posted on Instagram about cutting dead weight. I was angry. I didn't mean— And now you see me on a billboard and suddenly I'm worth your time? That's not— You know what the best part is? This Vogue feature, they contacted me in January, 3 months ago. I've known about it this whole time. While you were making jokes about my cute crafts, I was doing photo shoots for Vogue. While you were embarrassed to bring me to your office party, I was being interviewed about my career." He was quiet. "You know why I didn't tell you? Because I knew you'd find a way to make it about yourself. And guess what? I was right. You just called to tell me how you could help my career, how you always believed in me. Grace, we're done. We were done when you walked out of that restaurant. Actually, we were done way before that. I just didn't realize it yet. You're making a mistake. No, Henry, dating you was the mistake. This is me correcting it." I hung up. Simone screamed and hugged me. That was amazing. My hands were shaking, but I felt good, powerful, like I finally stood up for myself in a way I should have months ago. My phone immediately started ringing again. Henry. I blocked his number. Then I blocked him on Instagram, Twitter, everywhere. "Wait," Simone said. "Before you block him on Insta, you need to see this." She showed me her phone. Henry had posted a story, a screenshot of the Vogue article with the caption, "So proud of my girl Grace. Always knew she had it in her. #proud boyfriend. #supporting her dreams." I stared at it in disbelief. "He's claiming he's still your boyfriend," Simone said, "and that he supported your career." Are you fucking kidding me? Within minutes, the comments started rolling in. "Didn't you post last week about cutting dead weight? Pretty sure she dumped you, bro. This is embarrassing. Bro, she literally blocked you, Lemo."
Someone had screenshot his boys' night post from last week and posted it in the comments with, "This you?" Henry deleted the story within 15 minutes. But the internet never forgets, and someone had already screen recorded the whole thing. I wasn't going to post another update because, honestly, I thought the billboard thing was the end of it. Henry would slink away, I'd block him on everything, we'd never speak again. Clean break, everyone moves on. I should have known better. So, Friday afternoon, after I blocked Henry, things were quiet for a few hours. I was doing interviews with local press about the Vogue feature, responding to messages from potential clients, basically living my best newly single and thriving life. Simone had left to go to a photo shoot, but not before making me promise to text her if anything dramatic happened. Around 3 p.m., I got a call from Devin. "Hey, I don't want to freak you out," he started, which is never a good sign, but Henry left work early and he seemed really unstable, like punched a wall in unstable. Did he say anything about me? Just that you were making him look bad and he needed to set the record straight. I don't know what that means, but I figured you should know. I thanked him and tried not to panic. An hour later, I found out what set the record straight meant. Henry had posted a long Instagram caption on a photo of us from 6 months ago. I only know this because approximately 15 people screenshot it and sent it to me before he could delete it. The post read, "Since everyone seems confused, let me clarify. Grace and I are taking a break because she needs to focus on her career right now. The Vogue feature is amazing and I'm incredibly proud of her, but the attention has been overwhelming for her. She asked for space to process everything and I'm respecting that. We're still together, just taking time apart. To everyone commenting negativity on my previous posts, you don't know our relationship. Grace and I have something special, and we're working through this together. Please respect our privacy during this time. #relationship goals, #supportive partner, #love her. I read it 3 times, each time getting angrier. He was lying, blatantly, publicly lying, making it seem like I needed space, like I was overwhelmed, like we were on some mutual break. I screenshotted the post and sent it to Simone with, "What do I do?" Her response, "Destroy him." Politely. I spent 20 minutes crafting the perfect response, a comment on his post. "Hi Henry, since you're sharing our private relationship details publicly, let me clarify. You dumped me at a restaurant last Friday in front of your friends. You called me a charity case, said I wasn't on your level, and left me with a $340 bill. You then posted about cutting dead weight. We are not taking a break. We are broken up. I blocked you this morning when you called trying to get back together after seeing my billboard. There is no us working through anything. Please stop lying to make yourself look better. Wishing you well in your future endeavors." I posted it before I could chicken out. The response was immediate. Within 5 minutes, the comment had 200 likes. People I didn't even know were replying. Get him. The receipts. She brought receipts. This is the most dignified drag I've ever seen. Ma'am, you dropped this crown. Henry's friends started commenting too. Chad, bro, she's right. You literally did this. Devin, Henry, why are you like this? Even some of his coworkers I'd never met said, "This is embarrassing, man. Just take the L." Henry deleted his post within 10 minutes, but then he did something truly unhinged. He made his Instagram private and posted on his story, which someone screenshotted and sent to me. Crazy how people will rewrite history when they get a little fame. I tried to be the bigger person, but some people just want drama. I'm done playing nice. "Done playing nice," Simone said when I called her. "What's he gonna do? Dump you again?" We laughed, but I was low-key nervous. That evening, I got a DM from a woman I didn't know. "Hi Grace, you don't know me, but I dated Henry for 8 months before you. I saw your comment on his post, and I just wanted to say thank you. He did the same thing to me. Dumped me out of nowhere, then when I started dating someone new, he told everyone we were on a break and I was cheating. He's a pathological liar. I'm so glad you're calling him out." Then another message from a different woman. "I went on 3 dates with Henry last year. He told me he was a VP at his company and that he owned a condo downtown. Both lies. I found out from a mutual friend he was an assistant manager and rented a studio. Just wanted to validate that he's always been like this." By the end of the night, I had 7 messages from women who dated or almost dated Henry, all with similar stories. He lied about his job title, he lied about his income, he love-bombed them, then devalued them, then tried to hoover them back when they moved on. Classic toxic pattern. I felt vindicated, but also kind of sad. Like, this was clearly a pattern for him. He was going to keep doing this to people. Saturday morning, I woke up to more chaos. Henry apparently spent Friday night drunk texting his friends, per Devin's update, including sending a long message to their group chat about how I was using him for his connections and that he made me who I am. Chad screenshotted it and posted it on Twitter with, "My boy really thinks he's the reason a Vogue featured designer is successful. The delusion is strong." It went viral in our local Portland community, like actually viral, 10,000 retweets viral. People were finding Henry's LinkedIn, his company profile, everything. Someone made a meme using his "I made her who she is" quote next to my billboard. It was everywhere. By Saturday afternoon, Henry's company apparently had gotten wind of the situation because he posted a very stiff apology. "I apologize for my recent social media behavior. I was emotional and said things I shouldn't have. I will be taking a break from social media to focus on personal growth." It was clearly written by a PR person or his boss. Devin confirmed. His manager called him in this morning, told him to delete everything and apologize or they'd let him go.
The company doesn't want to be associated with his messy personal drama. Henry's Instagram went completely dark after that. All posts deleted except the apology. I should have felt victorious. Mostly I just felt tired. It's been 3 weeks since the billboard went up. 3 weeks since Henry imploded his own life trying to rewrite our history. I'm not gonna lie, the first week after everything blew up was overwhelming in the best and worst ways. My phone was constantly buzzing with interview requests, new followers, client inquiries. The Vogue feature opened doors I didn't even know existed. I got contacted by 2 major home goods retailers for exclusive fabric lines. A boutique hotel chain in Seattle wanted custom designs for their renovations. My freelance rate tripled. My Instagram hit 50,000 followers. My therapy sessions definitely increased because processing all of this while healing from a toxic relationship is a lot. But I also felt lighter, like I'd been carrying around this weight of Henry's judgment for 2 years and suddenly it was gone. I could post my work without worrying if he'd make a dismissive comment. I could celebrate my wins without downplaying them. I could just exist as myself.
Simone and I went out to celebrate one night, and we ended up at this wine bar near where the billboard was. We could literally see my face from the window. "How does it feel?" she asked, "seeing yourself up there?" I looked at the billboard, my own face, 20 feet tall, with "Rising Star" written across it. "It feels like proof," I said. "Proof that I was never the problem, that I was always enough." A week after Henry's forced apology, Devin reached out asking if I wanted to grab coffee. I was hesitant. He was still Henry's friend, after all. But he'd been kind during the whole mess, so I agreed. We met at a cafe downtown, not near the billboard. I'm not that petty. Okay, maybe a little. "I wanted to apologize," he said, "for laughing at Henry's jokes about you, for not saying something when he was clearly being an asshole, for not walking out of that restaurant when he pulled that stunt. I appreciated the accountability. Why didn't you?" He looked uncomfortable. Honestly, because Henry has this way of making you feel like you're either with him or against him, and it seemed easier to just go along with it. But watching him spiral these past few weeks made me realize he's not a good person, and I don't want to be the kind of person who enables that. We talked for 2 hours. Turned out, Devin was also pretty fed up with Henry's behavior at work. The lying, the credit stealing, the constant need to be the center of attention. He told our boss he came up with a whole project plan that I actually created. When I called him out, he said I was being territorial and not a team player. "Sounds familiar," I said. We left it casual, no promises of friendship, just an understanding that we'd both been negatively impacted by the same toxic person. But over the next few weeks, Devin and I did become actual friends. Not in a romantic way, despite what Simone kept implying with her eyebrow raises, just 2 people who'd survived Henry and came out the other side. As for Henry himself, he stayed off social media for about 2 weeks, then slowly started posting again. Generic stuff. Sunset photos, gym selfies, motivational quotes about growth and becoming your best self. No mention of me, no mention of relationships at all. I heard through Devin that he'd been put on a performance improvement plan at work and was basically one screw-up away from being fired. He'd also apparently gone on several dates with different women from apps, each time presenting himself as this successful entrepreneur who'd been betrayed by a fame-hungry ex. I felt bad for those women, honestly. They were about to experience the same cycle I had. One of them actually found my Instagram and DM'd me. "I saw you dated Henry. What was he like?" I debated how to respond. Part of me wanted to write a novel warning her about every red flag. Instead, I just said, "Trust your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is." She never responded, but she did unfollow him 2 days later, so I'm calling that a win. The weirdest thing happened about a month after everything went down.
I was at a design conference in Seattle, networking with other textile artists, when someone tapped my shoulder. It was Henry's mom. I hadn't seen her since the breakup. We'd never been super close, but she'd always been kind to me. "Grace," she said, looking genuinely sad. "I saw the Vogue article. I'm so proud of you." "Thank you," I said, unsure where this was going. "I also heard about what happened, with Henry, at the restaurant." "Oh." "He told us a very different story," she continued. "Said you two had grown apart, that it was mutual. But then I saw your Instagram comment, and I know my son. I know when he's lying." She looked tired. "I'm sorry for how he treated you. I don't know where we went wrong with him, but somewhere along the way, he decided other people were just supporting characters in his story." I didn't know what to say to that. "You deserved better," she said. "You always did. I hope you find someone who sees that." She hugged me and walked away, leaving me standing there with tears in my eyes. It was the closure I didn't know I needed. Not from Henry, I didn't need anything from him, but from the acknowledgement that I wasn't crazy, that his behavior wasn't normal, that I deserved the apology he'd never give me. So, where am I now? It's been 2 months since that restaurant disaster. 2 months since Henry walked out and accidentally did me the biggest favor of my life. My career is thriving. I signed contracts with 2 major retailers. I'm working on my first fabric collection that'll be sold in stores nationwide. There's talk of another magazine feature, though I'm trying not to jinx it. The billboard came down after its 4-week run, but Simone made me take about 1,000 photos in front of it first. I have one framed in my studio now, a reminder of what I'm capable of when I'm not shrinking myself for someone else's ego. I'm in therapy, working through why I accepted Henry's treatment for so long. Turns out I have some people-pleasing tendencies and a fear of abandonment. We're working on it. I haven't heard from Henry in weeks. Last I heard from Devin, he's dating someone new, another woman in her mid-20s who he's apparently already lying to about his job title. Some people never change. But I have. I don't doubt my worth anymore. I don't wait for permission to celebrate my successes. I don't make myself smaller to make mediocre men feel bigger. And when I'm at restaurants now, I split the bill fairly or I don't go at all. Last week, I went on a first date with someone Simone set me up with, a librarian named Alex who collects vintage fabrics and actually listened when I explained what I do for work. "That's fascinating," they said. "Can you tell me more about your process?" Not, "That's cute." Not, "Like quilts?" That's fascinating. I almost cried into my pasta. The date went well. We're seeing each other again this weekend. I'm not rushing into anything, still healing, still learning to trust again. But it's nice to be seen as a full person instead of an accessory to someone else's story. If you've made it this far, thank you for coming on this journey with me. If you're currently with someone who makes you feel like you're not enough, like you should be grateful they're even with you, please know, you are enough. You always were. The right people will see that. The wrong people will try to convince you otherwise. And sometimes the trash takes itself at a restaurant and sticks you with the bill. But trust me, paying $340 to get rid of someone toxic, best money I ever spent.